Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our Open Mic program. And boy, I love when we get to talk about people changing lives in our program. And Pediatric Plus, Beth Younge is with us, Senior Director, Searcy Farm is what they call it. And I got to go to the open house that you had, and Congressman French Hill was there, a lot of dignitaries. And it's amazing the farm that you guys have got is changing lives. Let's just talk about a little bit about how you got to where you are.
We were founded in 2002, and Pediatrics Plus provides occupational, physical, and speech language therapy alongside applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy, all in the same house. And so our big focus is play with a purpose, and really getting that functional therapy for those kids to transfer skills from the learning environment and therapy environment to everyday life.
That's exactly what the therapy is. You're just helping them to apply some things that will change. It's life-changing, really. I mean, you do see that.
Yeah, definitely. I see the growth in our kids every day, and I'm just so proud of them and what they can accomplish with us and our team.
Could you share with us, no names of course, of a client that you've seen a life-changing moment?
Yeah, I can definitely think of several clients that I've seen so far, but one that stands out to me is where we had a client who had several escalations in a day and didn't know how to regulate yet. He needed assistance with that, and so we were prompting him to take breaks throughout the day, prompting and giving him those sentence stems to take the break. And one day he came in and he asked for the break all on his own before the escalation happened, which is a huge deal. And if you're a parent of a child with special needs, you know how big that is for them to communicate to you, I need a break, I need a pause. And so we all celebrated and we were like, this is so exciting, because it showed that what we're doing is working.
And you also have Zach with us right now, Zach Neal, as a parent. That's where you almost can tear up when you see major events like that, because I've dealt with special needs kids my entire broadcast career, and there is some things that just click and you think this is something to celebrate over.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what Beth has shared that happened in the clinic, when it plays itself out at home, it's even more of a higher celebration, because there is some level of expectation potentially that it would happen at the clinic, which is not necessarily a guarantee in that it's not going to happen immediately. But when it does happen, it's worth celebrating. When it comes home is when it really hits the mark. And that we were at a restaurant, and one of our kids could have been the one being described by Beth, honestly, because he has some of the same things that he is working through. And we're at a restaurant, and he actually said, hey, I think I need to go sit in the car for a little bit. Can we go sit in the car for just a minute? Because his sensories were being overloaded ultimately, and he recognized that. Some of us take for granted if we don't have to have that hurdle in our life. And so it's truly a blessing when you see it play itself out in the day-to-day.
You know, when you see that, though, with your children, and that's as a parent that you're so engaged with it, realizing this is something to overcome and go out and sit in the car. And that is really what life's all about. We all have different challenges. And this is what I think people look at. I know every person I know has some kind of challenge, really. They just may not realize it, but there is. And we all have that. And overcoming that is part of life for everyone.
Sure. Recognizing your barriers is something that all of us need to mature in. But when a child whose development might have been affected even in the womb, and they don't even realize what they are trying to overcome, having specialists that care, that have years of experience and research to be able to know, hey, here's an insight that I have and an angle that we might be able to take. You know, we as parents, we consider ourselves most knowledgeable about our children, but when you partner with someone that's also knowledgeable about this field, then there's a partnership that is collaborative, and the end result is a child becomes successful.
That's what it's all about. Parents like this is engaged, and that's what it makes your job easier, because it is a partnership.
Yeah, it definitely does. That collaboration piece between the parents, between the team and the other therapist in-house is what makes this all work.
You know, what would you say to that parent that is struggling? I mean, this is something that you had to come to agreement with yourself and with your spouse, and figuring out what's the roadmap we're going to take.
Right. I'm blessed with my wife, who's a go-getter when it comes to taking care of her kids, and so I just followed really closely behind. But whenever we toured the campus there in Cabot of Pediatrics Plus, and the facilities that you've already mentioned are so impressive, but when you talk to the staff and the team there, there's this sense of belonging that you have and a level of comfort that allows you to know that you can ask any question. and you don't have to feel any shame for anything that you're sharing, and you have a crowd basically at your fingertips that they get it, and they've talked to other parents, and they've talked to kids. And then when your kids connect, that's just the icing. It's, selfishly as a parent, you're also wanting some support. And that's something that Pediatrics Plus offers. We actually have access to talking to the specialists ourselves away from our kids to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on at home. Is there anything that could be incorporated into the structure at Pediatrics Plus, at the farm, that could help us learn to navigate this? And so, in many ways, it's not the children that necessarily need to know what to do differently. It's us needing to know how we need to realize that everybody's different and not everybody thinks like us.
Well, that's true. And that's the partnership that you speak of, because it helps you with your job.
Yeah, definitely. Without parents giving their input and providing all their knowledge about their child, we couldn't do what we do.
What advice would you give to someone that's coming to this crossroads of figuring out what they need to do with their child? What advice would you give that person?
I would advise them to just reach out to us. If you have any questions, we're available. Even if you just think you're interested, even if you just don't know, reach out to us. We want to answer your questions. We want to help you. And you can also go to pediatricsplus.com and enroll yourself. You don't have to wait for a doctor or insurance. You can do the referral yourself as a parent. And we'll reach back out to you to get the intake started.
Well, it's been a very enlightening program, because I just loved what I've seen. I've seen the team effort, which your people all are just, it's really a team of success, making an opportunity for your patients and clients to move ahead and make that big step forward. What are some of the therapies that you offer?
We offer occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy, all in the same location. And we are a fully functioning farm with high stem and low stem gyms, chicken coops, barns, greenhouse, sensory gardens. And our kids get to go out and be with the animals. They get to pick eggs. They get to do everything that you do at a farm, and also in an open facility.
All right, and I guess go through the website. That is how they can contact you. You got all the information. So what is that?
It's pediatricsplus.com.
Thank you guys so much for taking time and talking with us. This is amazing. And a ministry. That's really what I think it is when you're touching so many lives.
Yeah, definitely a ministry.